Jack Harlow back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by Babby. Usually I have my names from whatever, like, kind of tie in to what we are talking about on this week's episode, but just
Yeah,
decided
I
to
was gonna
play
say,
it
what did Jack
safe.
Harlow do?
Nothing yet. I don't know.
I don't think he's done anything in a while.
Well, he's just kind of an idol of mine, so I just wanted to,
Yeah, the new quirky white boy on the block.
yeah, it's pretty hard to be white and a rapper, so I
Yeah,
admire him.
and AFC sponsorship.
Yeah, it's admirable, I think, to be a white rapper with a KFC sponsorship.
Never happened before.
No, not yet. Well,
Just took a white boy from Kentucky.
anyways, this week we're going to be talking about, we're not going to be talking about Blue Velvet. We just recorded
We just did that.
Yes, our second Boy Time feature is out because I usually have the features out first. And by usually, I mean the one time we've done it before. So if you are interested in our thoughts on Blue Velvet and Blue Velvet only, except it's kind of a greater conversation about David Lynch a little bit, check that out because it's interesting and fun. And I won't tell you whether or not I like the movie. You're going to have to watch that or listen to that. Either. Preferably both. But this week hasn't been super big in terms of news, but we do have some exciting news, I guess. I guess most importantly, we usually start with gaming, but this is more important because it was announced a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago, that Bong Joon-ho's next movie was delayed indefinitely. This was amid all sorts of Warner Brothers shenanigans. Not that those haven't stopped, but that was a wave, and it was like, oh no, is Mickey 17, which is Bong Joon-ho's next movie, is that going to be the next one on the chopping block? Still a possibility, but now we have a release date. So it was supposed to come out in January, and now it's coming out January 31st of 2025. So
January.
still in January. You can't say that. But again, this is a Warner Brothers thing. So who knows if this is actually going to come out. Hopefully it does, because I am a big Bong Joon-ho fan. Very, very good director. And I'm excited to see what him and Robert Pattinson have cooked up, because he's my favorite actor of all time. I love him in Breaking Dawn, Part 1.
I love him in the original Twilight.
Oh, I did not like that. I don't remember what I rated that movie. It couldn't have been higher than 1 star though.
It's charming in a very non-charming way.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody saw that movie in the 2000s and was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to base my personality around for the next 5 years.
It was a weird time.
It was a weird time. But we're not here to talk about Twilight.
Yet.
Not yet.
Boy Time feature.
Oh, that would be fun. That's going to be the
whole
next
series.
the
Gotta read all the books.
I'm not going to read those books. You kidding me? What we should do is we should read the 50 Shades of Grey books.
Ooh, there we go.
That would be fun. And then we'll just record it as an audiobook. And I'll be Mr. Grey, and you can be Veronica Steele, or whatever their names are. Isn't it? Aren't they both Grey names?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not too caught up on my lore.
Yeah, I'm not. I just know that it was Twilight fan fiction that they just changed the names and things for. But anyways, we have some other news. The Elden Ring DLC, there was a trailer for it. I think we talked about it last week that it was announced that we were going to get a trailer for it. Well, we actually got some gameplay for it. It's Elden Ring. So if you went
But
in,
new stuff.
but new stuff. Yeah, so that's coming out on June 21st for $40. It's a hefty price tag, but I feel like FromSoft is, I mean, I think you're gonna get what you're paying for. FromSoft has not let me down yet, so therefore I'm going full buy on this one. Actually, I don't know. I haven't beat Elden Ring, and I'm probably not going to play this DLC. But some people are very excited, so I thought, there you go. Shout out people that like Elden Ring. I like it too. It's just whatever. Let's talk about something else. We got some other news. Uh, yeah, it was kind of weird because the company that was making the Knights of the Old Republic remake, which I guess is or is not happening, I guess they had one of their side divisions port the original Battlefront games to everything, including Steam, which is weird. So there's a Battlefront Classic Collection, which includes the first two Battlefront games. That's going to be on Switch and PS5 and Xbox and Steam. Again, I don't really know why they're going for a Steam release, because I think just the second one's on Steam, so maybe just porting the first one. But it comes with all the DLC, and I think I saw that. It's coming out on March 14th. I don't think it's gonna be that much money either. So if you haven't played them, pretty good games. I like them. Check them out. And I haven't played them with the DLC either, so that'll be fun and exciting, I guess. Eventually. But
Maybe.
I don't know. But that's it for that. I don't care. Let's talk about hit films. I watched 2 hit films. I'm going to preface and say I did not finish Kongi's Harvest, which is the movie that is this film homework for our reaction that we are going to be recording later this week. So won't be able to talk about it. I got about halfway through and I wasn't following it because there's no subtitles and I'm deaf. So I was having a very hard time figuring out what was going on. And I'm like, what is this? This is too confusing. So I'm going to finish it before we get to the reaction. But I don't know if I'll have a whole lot of comprehension of what happened. Maybe I'll finish it wearing headphones because that might be better. But
yeah, that's what I did.
That might be it. That might be the play. But instead, I watched 2 movies that are not really similar at all, but they have an aspect tying them together, and that Spike Lee either is or has remade these movies before. I watched Old Boy and High and Low. Both of them from Southeast Asia. Old Boy is Korean. I've already seen it before. I basically watched that movie first because I'm like, I want to watch something I've already seen. And I haven't seen Old Boy in a long time. And I'm like, wouldn't it be funny to do another remake that Spike Lee is going to be making, High and Low, which is a Kurosawa movie from Japan, obviously. So that's really the only thing tying these 2 movies together, is that Spike Lee is going to, in the case of High and Low, or has made a remake of Old Boy, which is regarded not only as one of Spike Lee's worst movies, but one of the worst remakes of all time. So nothing but high hopes for his High and Low remake. Frankly, I'm nervous. Even though I love Spike Lee a lot, of the 3 movies I've seen of his, all of them are absolutely perfect. Might be one of the greatest American filmmakers of all time. Boy, I don't know if he can make remakes, especially High and Low, which I guess we can start with that one, because that one is more interesting, Old Boy is a very solid. I was gonna say Fight Club esque, but I think it came out before Fight Club. But yeah, whatever. Let's talk about High and Low first. High and Low, Kurosawa. It's a little bit. It's an outlier in Kurosawa's filmography in terms of his like big hitters, because when you think of Kurosawa, you think feudal Japan, you think samurais, you think cool action and beautiful cinematography. Not so much thinking uh, noir thriller, which is what this movie is, set in, I guess, modern day Japan when this movie was made in the 50s or early 60s. I don't remember. In that ballpark. So I've been wanting to watch this for a long time. I thought it was a legal thriller because the poster for it on Max is a guy holding a briefcase and he's like crying, and it kind of looked like he was in a courtroom. Not in a courtroom, he was on a train the whole time. Didn't know it. But it's kind of funny that Spike Lee is remaking this movie because uh, this movie is kind of about the consequences of doing the right thing. It's the name of his movie is called Do the Right Thing.
Get it?
Do you get it? Do you understand? Do you understand my hilarious joke?
I think you got to put in a laugh track for it.
No, I think it's better just silent.
True.
Just just dead air. That's what's funniest. But yeah, this movie is kind of split up into two parts. I guess you could say the high and the low. Although I don't know why you would, because they're both not like high moments for the characters. But I think I'm going to kind of go through what happens in the first part because it's kind of hard to talk about this movie without talking about some of the details. So if you want to go in absolutely blind to High and Low, I would recommend it. It's easily, it's probably my favorite Kurosawa movie. But I resonate more with this genre than feudal Japan movies in general. So check it out. I liked it quite a bit. But yeah, this movie follows a very rich factory owner. He owns a shoe company, or a factory for a shoe company called National Shoes, I think. Pretty on the nose name. I think that's what Nike should rename their company to. It's just National Shoes. Just right to the point. In case nobody knows what Nike is, then they would be, oh, it's the National Shoe Company. I know to get my shoes there. So that's what this company was thinking, and it was a brilliant idea because this guy's absolutely loaded. But it starts off, and basically the like execs from like the company side are at his house, and they're like, "Yo, our profits are too low, so we need to start cutting costs." And the factory owner guy's like, "I won't do it because that sacrifices our quality, and I am a good boy." And I would never screw our customers in order for me to get more profit. And then all of the suits are like angry. And so after that, he like reveals to his wife and his driver and his right hand man, he's like, "Yo, I got a way. I'm going to undermine all these people. I took out this giant 50 million yen loan out on our house, all of my belongings as consequence or whatever for the loan. So basically, if I don't pay it back, they're gonna have everything. So I just took this big baller move. I took this giant loan out. I'm gonna buy a bunch of shares in the company, getting me that 47% majority, so that even if they try to box me out for going against their cheap shoe idea, then they aren't going to be able to do it because I have the majority shares." And it's like, oh, that's kind of awesome. But meanwhile, basically, this guy's kid and his driver's kid were playing in the yard outside their house, and one of the kids get kidnapped, and the kidnapper calls them. It's like, yo, I just kidnapped your son. Give me 30 million yen or I'm going to kill your son. And the guy's like, oh shit. Well, luckily, I just took out this giant loan in order to save my son. Well, he didn't do it to save his son, but that's where he was going to give the money now. But it's revealed that the son wasn't taken, it was the driver's son. So it was a big mix up because they were playing cops and robbers or cowboys and banditos. I don't know. But they switched roles because I guess the main guy's kid was always the sheriff, but this time the other guy was the sheriff, and that's why he got kidnapped. So I guess the kidnapper was watching these kids play cops and robbers for a very long time in order to get that twisted. So now there's this ethical quandary. He was going to spend 30 million yen to save his son, but now that it's someone else's son, well, if he pays for that ransom, then the bank is going to take away all of his belongings because he's not going to be able to pay him back. So there's this question where he's like, well, okay, should I or should I not? Should I be a good businessman and not pay the ransom for my driver's son, even if the boy dies? But I'll have the majority share in the company and they won't be able to kick me out. Or should I pay the ransom and get kicked out of the company and be poor and have all of my stuff taken away? That's the first part of the movie, if you can believe it. If that doesn't sound like a premise for the entire film, I know. That sounds like a very interesting ethical quandary. Luckily, they solve it in about 20 minutes, where the guy's like, actually, I am going to pay the ransom. I'm going to be a good boy. And he pays the ransom, and that's like the first part of the movie. And then those characters pretty much go away. And then it's just like, okay, now let's focus on the cops that are trying to get this kidnapper. And from then on, it's just a noir thriller, a very, very good noir thriller. And I won't go into spoilers of the end of who done it. It's not anyone related to them. I guess that's a spoiler, but it's very, very interesting. I think that question, that ethical question in the beginning, is really good. It was very riveting when it was going on. I was kind of like, oh, well, what is he going to do? Because he is a good businessman, but he also seems like a good guy in general because he wasn't willing to screw over his customers in order to get more profit. I think that's, in a language of the film, that's what they're trying to say, is that this guy, good businessman, but also pretty good guy. And then that doesn't really happen. But what's interesting is that while this investigation is going on, we're kind of getting in the background that this guy has kind of become like a public hero, where like everybody, the public is basically on his side, but the shareholders are exploiting his, I guess, newfound poverty to just basically kick him out immediately. Like within days of this guy paying the ransom, they have a meeting and kick him out. And so, just kind of in the background, we're getting, okay, well, the public is basically boycotting this shoe company now because they fired this guy who paid 30 million yen to save his driver's son, which I guess maybe I should say how much that is in today's money, because I looked it up. Surprisingly, it's not as much as you would think. It's about $1 million in 2021 dollars, because that was the most recent data, which is probably close to $5 million because of inflation. Because it's
Biden inflation.
Bidenomics. That's what I always say. Uh, um, so it's not that much money, but apparently, in 50s Japan, I guess $1 million could go a long way. Everybody has $1 million these days. But what they were saying is that like it's so weird that this ransom is 30 million yen. Like that's the highest we've ever seen. Before that it was like 3 million yen. But usually it's around 300,000 to 600,000, which is only like a couple $1,000s today. I don't know. Maybe society was a little bit different. And maybe that's based on like modern day yen instead of yen from the 50s and 60s, because that might be different too. But there's that. I don't know. It's a good movie. It's very interesting. Great performances from everybody. Some Kurosawa mainstays are there. The main guy from Seven Samurai plays the police commissioner, I think, or whatever equivalent is to Japan police. So that was kind of fun to see him. But yeah, other than that, check it out. It's on Max, as like almost all of Kurosawa's movies are. So check it out. Very, very good. Now let's talk about Old Boy. Old Boy is a great movie that I had very, very fond memories of, and I was worried that it wasn't going to hold up because I saw it 6 or 7 years ago as I was just starting to get into film. I saw the hammer fight scene, the most famous scene from this movie. Uh, I think claimed for a while to be one of the best action scenes in movies, but I think these days action movies have gotten so like more tighter and better choreographed. I think that old boy fight scene does kind of get blown out of the water, but the essence of that scene is great. And that it's this close quarters hallway fight scene and it's locked off and you're just getting like kind of like you're watching like a 2D side scrolling beat 'em up arcade game or something, but more, I guess, more like Street Fighter, I guess. And that is just like two dimensions. So, I think that that's really well done. But I think calling this movie an action movie is a little bit uh, not true to what this movie is, because that's really the only action scene in the entire movie, which is kind of shocking. They really went all out for no reason. It was like let's have this movie about a guy trying to uncover his past and learn and get revenge. We'll just randomly have like this really awesome fight scene at the beginning of it for no reason. But I respect it. And there's a lot of stuff like that in this movie, where, like, for no reason, and they go super hard. Which is kind of why, like, Korean. I think I think this is just kind of like a main thing in Korean cinema, is that they go all out for little things, which is fantastic. I love Korean movies. But yeah, I guess the premise of Old Boy, if you don't know it, is that there's this guy. His name is Odesu, and he is a very bad dude. He's a drunk, and he is in jail on his daughter's birthday, and that's our introduction to him. It's like a couple of minutes of him in a holding cell, drunk and yelling and pissing in corners and starting fights. The vibes are off. This guy is a bad dude. Don't let him near your daughter. That's what I would say if I was a conservative commentator. Just, I don't know. Just living the dream, I guess.
Yeah.
Hee haw. So, yeah, he's a bad guy, and he calls his daughter, and he's like, "Yo, I got you a gift, but I might be late because I was in jail, and it's like not even her birthday anymore." But, he's kidnapped. He was kidnapped, and he was put in jail, kind of. It's like a hotel room. Basically, he's locked in a hotel room with no windows, no interaction with anybody. It's like a small studio apartment. So he has like a little bit of, well, I guess it's just a bathroom and a TV and a couch and a bed. And that's it. No windows. He can't see where he's where he is. At the same time, each day someone brings him like it's like Chinese takeout. I think that's kind of what it is. And so he's just basically just eating Chinese food and watching TV all day. Nobody told him why he's there. Nobody told him for how long he's going to be there. Turns out he's there for 15 years, which that's like the first 10 minutes of the movie after we get introduced to him, is that we just see his life in this cell for that long and how he changes and basically turns into like a super badass, and he like learns a bunch of stuff because he's watching like documentaries and stuff, but he's also learning how to fight. He's like punching the walls and he has like calluses on his knuckles until one day they drug him and he wakes up on the top of a building in a suitcase wearing a fancy suit and given a wallet and a cell phone, and there he's out. No reason for why he was in there, no reason for why he was released. Now he's just released into a place that he does not recognize anymore because 15 years have passed. That's another thing they show too. Right before he's released, they do like a montage of like world events that happened like in that 15-year span. Frankly, not super familiar with South Korean history, so I didn't well, at least modern South Korean history, so I didn't really know a whole lot, but it was like going through like presidents going on. They showed 9/11 footage because this movie came out in the
You
early
go
two.
from military dictator to military dictator.
Pretty much. I don't. Oh, then there was like the first time that a South Korean president was in Pyongyang. They showed footage of that.
Yeah, Moon, I think.
Other than that, I don't know. I don't recognize any of these faces. I just recognize the 9/11 footage and then Kim Il Sung. Those were the two people that that's
All you need to know.
pretty much. Pretty much. I got the gist, you know. Okay, time has passed. It's been a long time. But yeah, it's just kind of that's the thrust of it. He's basically put into this world, and now he has to figure out why he was put in this jail cell for so long and who did it and seek revenge. And it's a really good movie. It's better than I remembered it. It's just as weird and uncomfortable as I remembered. Or I didn't even remember it being uncomfortable. But there's multiple scenes where people get their teeth pulled out with the back end of a hammer. And to be honest, I just covered my eyes. I did not want to watch that. That is like one of my least favorite things in movies is torture scenes. So did not need to see that, frankly. But yeah, it's still a pretty G and good action movie. Really good story. Weird themes. There's an incest theme. Don't ask me why. I don't know why that's what they chose to be the running theme of the movie, but it's a thing. I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about it because I don't really want to spoil the end of this movie because the movie is so fun to just go into blind. At least that's how I did way back in the day. I didn't really remember most of what happened. I remember the end because the end is very shocking. But besides that, I didn't really remember anything, which was good because it was fun. It was quirky. It's action packed. And there's just a lot of weird incest stuff in it. So be prepared for that. I don't want to say a lot. There's two incest scenes, which really are only uncomfortable in retrospect because you only find out that they're related after the fact. Maybe I shouldn't even say that. Whatever. I don't care. Check out Old Boy, the 20-year anniversary re-release with like I think it had like extended scenes in it. It's on Netflix. It was re-released in theaters. I wasn't able to see it. I was very, very disappointed, But luckily, they released that version on Netflix, so check it out. Very, very good. You'll like it a lot, I swear. If I'm if I turned you off from the incest stuff, that's it's it's not that big a thing. Well, it is, but I don't know. I'm trying to redeem this movie because I feel like I painted it in such a bad light by saying all the incest stuff, even though it is a thing. Still check it out though. It's very, very good. But aside from that, that's all I watched this week, and that's all I have to talk about this week. I have a little bit of music thing, but I think Babby's going to bring it up anyways. So I'll just throw it on over to Babby for his segment of the show.
We have a lot.
A lot.
We do. Um, we'll start with SZA, I guess.
Yeah,
We're
that's
gonna be
what
jumping
I was
around.
going to bring up.
Yeah, we'll start with SZA. SZA dropped Saturn, new single. I'll talk about that later. Saturn, the song is good. I like this song quite a bit.
What are you going to talk about later with SZA?
I will say the live version of Saturn is my favorite, and that's the only one I listen to, and therefore it's the only one that's real in my head.
What happened with the original?
I just don't like it as much as the live version.
Oh,
What I don't like is artists releasing a single and then doing 5 versions of that single.
yeah, I don't like that either.
You don't need a sped up version. You don't need an acapella. You don't even need an instrumental for this song.
No.
Honestly, you shouldn't have even made the studio version. Just release the live version. It's better. But the song is very good, and I'm glad that she dropped music. And I'm hoping this is on the new album. I'm assuming it is.
I think so.
But yeah, stylistically, still kind of similar to SOS, which is not a bad thing. But again, I can't even like talk about the song because I only listen to the live versions because I know the live version has some different instrumentation and some more live elements that work really, really well with her voice.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the original instrumental even sounds like.
They're pretty similar. I listened to them
Okay.
back to back. I think really the only thing that's different is that they do like no production on her voice, which I don't know if
Yeah.
you can tell, but it's just like
Yes.
her I think they filter out like cuz she's a little bit more nasally in the live version. She's getting it at a little bit of a lower tone. So I like them both. But I know that there
Yeah.
was some like mixing issues when it was released. I think she tweeted about it.
Oh, weird.
But also, yeah, I think the story with this album is that it was going to be like a Control Deluxe, and then it just kind of grew into something else. So it's a lot of like offcuts
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
SOS, but yeah, its own thing.
Yeah. So excited for that record, but the song is very good.
Yeah,
It's like nothing like new, so there's not really a lot to talk about. But if you like SZA, you're gonna like this song.
yes, that is true.
She's putting out consistently pretty great stuff. So check that out. Saturn, acapella version.
That's the best one.
Next we got the Free Nationals, the back, with
What?
ASAP Rocky and Anderson Paak,
Oh,
Gangsta. The song's also pretty good. It's a good blend of everybody. I think everybody does pretty well. I don't know if this is part of a new record for the Free Nationals, if this is going to be on the new ASAP Rocky album. Not sure. Seems like just a Free Nationals single with some boys on it. But pretty typical what you'd expect. More live instrumentation, kind of funk soul mixed with hip hop. Rocky does pretty well. I don't know. Anderson Paak didn't really do too much on this song.
was he
He
just
did this, like a
drumming?
nice little. He might be drumming actually. Yeah. He does a little nice intro, but I think ASAP Rocky kind of carries it when it comes to that. But pretty good track. They still sound like they're stuck on their first record sound. I feel like this song could have came out like I don't know. When did the record come out? 2019 that came out. Oh, sorry, that just gave me a crisis. They still sound the same as they did 5 years ago. Man, I can't believe that record came out in 2019. I remember talking about that when it came out. Uh, yeah. So their style really hasn't evolved at all. But I mean, it's still pretty good. If you like that style of music, you're gonna enjoy it. So check that out. I think it's cool to hear ASAP Rocky on anything nowadays, since he's like
Yeah.
teasing an album for years and still not doing anything. Um, but yeah, pretty good. More TDE. We got Sir featuring Isaiah Rashad, Karma.
Oh.
This song is fantastic. Um, I have missed Sir so much. Another artist who hasn't dropped since 2019.
Mm.
Chasing Summer is fantastic. I really love that. One of the better R&B albums from the last, I guess it's 5 years ago, but recently. um, but Karma is really great. I love the beat on this thing. Um, Sir is just fantastic vocally. Um, he reminds me of more of like a more expressive, wider range Black with a lot more interesting production.
Mm.
And I enjoy him quite a bit. And Isaiah Rashad does fantastic on this song. He is so in his bag on this instrumental. I'm surprised it wasn't an Isaiah Rashad song. But these two are a killer combo. Yeah, so I'm glad these two are back as well. I hope that Sir drops an album this year, and I hope that Isaiah Rashad drops an album this year.
Yeah.
But TDE is actually making moves, so
This is nuts.
it's happening. But yeah, this song is fantastic. So check that out. I don't know. We might do like Sir Chasing Summer on the channel eventually. I feel like you'd enjoy that quite a bit.
I like R&B.
Yeah. So I might put that on my list. Next, oh my god, we got a lot of singles. um, we will go with. Okay, this one's weird. So Caroline Polachek added a song to her deluxe record a week after the deluxe record came out, because I talked about that last week.
Yeah.
But she added a song randomly
Wait, which
a
one?
couple days after. So Long Road Home was not on there originally.
Oh.
And Long Road Home is, I think, on the 22nd it got added with no explanation or anything, I don't think. No promo. It just kind of got added. At least to my knowledge. I just found out about it like 2 hours ago, and I'm like, wait, why did she add this? There's a plus and negative of being able to like just update your album. I feel like I'd like to know if but anyways, Long Road Home is now on here, sandwiched between Gambler's Prayer and I Believe. So it's not even at the end. She kind of just put it back in there. I wonder if there was a sample clearance or some kind of thing that was holding it up.
Oh, maybe.
But it's got one of Trek's Point Never on it, which is great.
Ooh.
And the song sounds pretty good. I don't have too much to say about it. It fits into the vibe of the rest of the deluxe, which I talked about quite a bit last week. My thoughts on that have not changed. It's still a very, very, very good deluxe record. So enhances the original record, which is not always the case.
True.
Usually not the case. I think Yeet keeps adding songs to 2093 as well. Because we talked about the part 2 last week, but then I think there's a part 3 now, but it's only on his website because you have to buy it. Which honestly gets your bag. It's fun. It reminds me of like DLC for a video game, and it's kind of funny. It fits into the album theme, but it is kind of weird where you're just like, here's the real album 2 days later, or next day, part 2, 4 days later, part 3. it's kind of weird. It's a theme this week. I'll just say that. Speaking of themes this week, I need to talk about. So we talked about the SZA thing where she released the single but has like 4 different versions.
Yeah.
So everybody's favorite rapper, and favorite is in huge air quotes, French Montana dropped Mac and Cheese 5, which it's a great album title. So he did this, but there are 6 versions of this album on Spotify.
Oh.
There's one original. There's a version of the record, which is 6 hours. That includes every single song. Doesn't matter if it's a skit, an intro, and outro. Regular, sped up, slowed down, instrumental, and a cappella
Whoa.
for every single song. And then he also has an album for every single variation of every single song. So there's one where everything's sped up, where everything's slowed down, where everything's an instrumental, and where everything's an acapella. Um,
Why? Why
there
would
is
anyone
there
do
is
that?
there is a skit that has an instrumental version that is just white noise because it's a skit. They just took the stem from it and uploaded it. I think he said this because he was inspired by I don't know. Was it Taylor Swift? I don't think it was Taylor Swift. It was somebody.
I don't think she's done
Um,
this before.
no, but if you go to like his Spotify page and just click all, you can just scroll for days, and it's all just this stuff. Um, French Montana is one of the most annoying, mediocre rappers on earth, and then him doing this is just like so on brand. It's kind of funny. How was he number 297 in the world on Spotify?
I
Oh my
don't
god.
know.
Um,
I think nobody
so
talks
that
about French Montana.
Yeah, nobody likes French Montana. But he somehow gets all the features and everything. It's really weird.
Oh,
Um, so that's just an interesting side note. I thought that was hilarious because you could just like full screen your Spotify and just like have it get filled with the same album over and over again. It's like you're trying to play the algorithm, but you're not doing it in a way that actually works. I mean, both are annoying whether it works or not, but this is just kind of comical. Um, if somebody listens to your entire like hour long rap album a cappella, they are too much of a fan. I will
yeah,
say that.
yeah,
Um, Instrumentals make sense. Instrumentals will always make sense, but doing an a cappella, and I have strong feelings against speeding up and slowing down songs. I feel like if the artists intended to do that, they would just do that. I don't think there's any reason to do that. The whole slowed and reverb thing is stupid. I mean, chop and screwing is a different thing because there is like actual changes in production and cool stuff that actually works with those things.
yeah.
Like Thundercats Drunk has a chopped and screwed version that's really cool. But yeah, it's stupid. It's TikTok bait, and nobody's using a French Montana song as a TikTok song. I'm sorry,
Really?
unless they're like 45. um, but yeah, that was a side note. Continuing on. Um, Man, I have three more singles still. More Mother dropped another single for her upcoming record. What is the name of this album? Let me check. But the new single is All the Money. This is her second single from this record. Um, the Great Bailout, that's what it's called. That's very fitting. This one's great as well. I think I like Guilty more. It's more, I don't know. They're both very weird. They're not really they're all very spoken word, free jazz, ambient songs. So it's kind of hard to view them as like singles. Um, it's more like a movement type thing. But All the Money's pretty great. The instrumental's fantastic. She has some fantastic backing vocals from the featured artist Alia Al Sultani, which they have nothing on their Spotify at all, which is always great when a featured artist has no info. It's one of my favorite things, honestly. Um, but the song's great. The instrumental is fantastic. It's moody. The backing vocals create a really nice atmosphere. Um, and she does some really great kind of spoken word. I guess you can call it poetry. Um, it's all very spoken word. It's just going through like different events and like she will say like art museums and talk about like the history of an art museum and then be like where'd they get all the money, obviously talking about like the British Art Museum and British museums in general,
Yeah.
going across different countries and times and centuries and all of that. It's very cool. I really love it. She has such like she has a strong delivery. It's very nice to listen to. Yeah, she's killer. I'm so excited for this record. It's gonna be a really, really weird listen because it is so different. I know she has done rap albums like Brass, which is great. I love that album. And I think Jazz Codes even was still a little bit more conventional in the hip hop space. But I'm excited for her to dig back into like more free jazz with kind of like poetry over the top and that kind of thing. So I like the artsy stuff like that. But both these singles are fantastic, so I'm looking forward to this very much so.
Yeah.
Alrighty, two more singles.
Whoa.
I didn't listen to any new albums this week, so I mean, all right, we got Joman which is I don't. I'm gonna have so much trouble with any of these pronunciations. Okay, so it was a Hati Noir. I'm probably butchering that name, but it's a rework by Preservation featuring Armand Hammer for like a rework series of this artist's work. So we got a Preservation rework of this beat. It is phenomenal. You get these kind of chants with this really great like hand drum beat to it. Creates almost like a droning effect. And then you have Arm & Hammer going off over the top of it. Absolutely insane, incredible. The mix and just it's so colorful. The verses are fantastic. I love how the mixing kind of like buries them a little bit, so you kind of get overwhelmed by these like chants that keep reverberating. It's very good. It's it's a treat being like an Arm and Hammer and Backwoods fan because they'll just drop random verses on like artists you've like with like featured on artists you've never heard before, just like out of the blue, and you won't even find out about it until like 3 days later, until somebody like tweets about it or something. It's such a cool thing. It reminds me of like I wasn't alive obviously before the pre-streaming like you have to be in the know to know, but it's still nice to have like a smaller community where it's like you get all these unknown artists you get exposed to because these guys are just hopping on anything and it's great. So this is a fantastic song. I love this rework. Preservation is quickly becoming like one of my favorite producers of all time. We'll be talking about Preservation a lot next week because we will be doing Aethiopes on the main channel, and that is completely produced by Preservation.
Okay.
So you're about to get a load of his stuff. It's incredible. So very, very, very good there. And we're sticking in the same lane because Arm & Hammer just released another song today. Test Strips came out in like late September, I think, and they're not stopping at all. So this is actually a bonus track on Diabetic Test Strips, but it's just on the main album now. So it's just that's the
Oh.
only version of it. It's not a deluxe record, but it is now officially on the record. Which normally I would be like, that's a little weird, but I think it's deserved in this case because there's no way a bonus track should be this good. So this one is Doves. It is 9 minutes long. You don't get many hip hop songs that are 9 minutes long, especially if it's not featuring like 7 different artists. But this is Kenny Segal production, Benjamin Booker on the feature. I think Benjamin Booker was on Maps. He did, what was it? FaceTime, I think. But he was on there. But they did this. They released a music video, short film, whatever you want to call it, with it. And the song is phenomenal. They made I want to say Godspeed esque noise, atmospheric post rap song. There's no verses for the first 4.5 minutes. Billy Woods has one verse, and then Elucid goes into this like he's singing on this thing pretty much, which is something he doesn't do very much. But oh my god, this thing is incredible. It's very hard to even talk about this song. You kind of just have to like listen to it. But this is something completely unique. Like I think by the time we get to Phoenix by Injury Reserve is the most like forward-thinking hip hop album of like the last 5 years, and I think people are kind of taking some influence from that now because like we're getting something like this, which is like almost a full-on ambient noise kind of track with like almost shoegaze type elements to it, in a way that seems completely natural and not just shoehorned in at all. And it is just like phenomenally done. Yeah, this is maybe the best song of the year. I don't know. I keep saying that every week because there's like there's one artist every week that just like blows everything out of the water. But yeah, this song is phenomenal. So check that out. It is now officially part of the record, which is pretty cool. I think this one definitely deserves to be. I don't know if there's going to be an official deluxe to Test Strips. I feel like they were talking about that somewhere. So I am kind of expecting something like that to come out this year. But it is interesting that they just put it on the main record. So we'll see what a deluxe looks like if that happens. Um, but I think that was all the new stuff this week. Uh, there was one piece of, I don't want to call it news, but word on the street. Um, Godspeed has new songs that they're playing in concert.
Oh,
I think there's 3 or 4 that are new that they're starting to play because they just kicked off their 2024 tour. And people heard some new stuff, and now everybody's like, "Oh, what's happening?" Um, I think there was one like random Belgian, because like sometimes they'll do like write ups on the artists that come to their venues or whatever. I think it was like one publication or venue in Belgium that said that there was going to be a new record out by them in September of this year, um, which is entirely possible. Um, but I haven't listened to any of the new songs. I don't like to do that, especially with bands who like test new material as they go, because I would like to just hear the final product.
sure.
Because sometimes you get attached to an early version and then they change it, and you're like, oh. But I mean, 3 new Godspeed songs. That sounds like a new record in the making to me, which would be fantastic. I kind of need some new of that in my life right now. So I will stay tuned to that very closely and see what that turns into. But I feel like it's time for them to release a new record. The last one was 2021, and they've been touring pretty nonstop. So I'd imagine some new material would spring out of that at some point. Um, I mean, Mr. Michael and Swans are doing the same thing at this exact moment. So, but I don't think that record will come for a while yet. But yeah, so new Godspeed maybe confirmed.
Maybe.
Definitely not confirmed, but rumor has it there's news. There's new songs that's confirmed. So one thing leads to another there. But yeah, I listened to 2 albums this week. Both were not new by any means. I've listened to one already, and I listened to one that I have not heard. Um, I re-listened to Fishman's. Man, this album title is just in Japanese, isn't it? Um, it's the one where they're pointing at the cloud and the lens flare. Uh, I need to find the name for it real quick, um, because it is really great. I just need to find it. Where are you, Fishman? But I think I want to do some Fishmans on the channel in some format because they are so good. The record's called Uchu Nippon Setagaya. I'm
Yeah, I was gonna
probably
say it's
butchering
on the
that.
album cover.
Is it?
Uh huh.
Oh yeah, there it is. I had to click on it to see that high. This was from the era where putting a Windows 98 lens flare on your album cover was cool. We've ran into this with the Flaming Lips. Although this album kind of knocks that Flaming Lips album out of the water. So, yeah, this thing is phenomenal. I forgot how good this album is. I think Long Season kind of takes, the cake is like the biggest Fishman's thing, and kind of overshadows this a bit. But this album is fantastic. It's such a feel good record. So I'm thinking about adding this to the wheel too, because I feel like this is just like a really 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 fun time, and it's so incredibly well made. It would be easier to react to too, because I was trying to think of how we can do Long Season, but it's literally a 40-minute song. Um, so this might be cool. Give it a little bit more range, but this album is fantastic. Um, every year I come back to Fishman's at some point, and I'm just blown away again by how good they are once I start listening to them again. But heading to the opposite side of Japan, I listened to the Boris album Pink. Uh, I have not dove into Boris too much yet, although I probably will be, based off of this. They are kind of like a noise rock, sludge metal type group. Or I think they're a trio. Um, Pretty well known in the nerd space, I would say. Um, but they've been going since '98, and they're still releasing records. But this one is Pink, very noise rock, very almost grunge, um, with some stoner metal stuff in there. It's very good. It's very noisy. It's very aggressive. It's very fast. Um, it's a great time. I was looking for more stuff like this because that's kind of the itch I got right now. I'm back into more long form, kind of noisy stuff. So this was kind of the one I wanted to dive into, and it's pretty great. Um, I feel like the opener is like not at all uh, what the rest of the record sounds like. It's pretty chill, and then all of a sudden you get to the second song and your ears are getting blown out, and it goes over pretty well. I think the last song is my favorite though. The 10-minute "Just Abandon Myself" that is fantastic. The distortion they reach on this album is really, really, really great. Ever since I've been like really re-listening to Earth 2, I'm like craving something to meet that level of like satisfying distortion, and Boris is getting pretty close to that. So my first exposure to Boris, I'll be doing more. I kind of want to tackle Flood next because that one is just an hour and 10 minutes. I feel like it's divided into four parts. I don't know if it's one track, but it's just like Flood One, Flood Two, and they're all like 13 minutes at least. One's 21 minutes. So I kind of want to hit that one next. But yeah, those are the things I've been listening to. I was in Japan for the week, I guess.
Yeah.
Completely unintentional. It just kind of worked out that way. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything coming for next week. I think Schoolboy Q is not this Friday, but next Friday. I'll be talking about that a lot because I am so. Oh, it is March 1st, actually. It's this Friday already. Oh my God.
What?
Thank God. All right. I'm talking about Schoolboy Q a lot next week. I'm very excited for this record. The couple of singles I've heard are fantastic. I think he just released the track list today. He's got a Rico Nasty feature. He's got Freddie Gibbs on there. He's got Absol on there. It's gonna be good.
Oh.
Be very good. I think Casey Musgraves comes out in March as well.
Yep. Adrian Lanker too.
Yes, sir.
I think that's it in terms of March releases on my radar.
I think that is true, unless something unexpected happens, which can happen and does quite a bit. I feel like most of the releases this year have been like, or at least singles have been out of nowhere for me.
Yeah. I mean, that SZA was just surprise dropped.
Yeah, yeah, which I'm enjoying. I feel like singles are getting dropped like every single day of the week this year, and I am kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's better than having like nothing, and then Friday hits, and I have like so many things to listen to.
Especially
nice to
since
spread it
last
out a
year
little
was
bit.
so slow.
Yeah, this year is already like ramping up quite a bit, and I enjoy it. I mean, I have like a wide variety of albums that I've listened to this year, and most of them are from artists I haven't really listened to a lot of. And like, there's some singles this year that have been just insane. But yeah, channel this week we got Billy Woods Ethiops. If you listen to the podcast, you know I've been yapping about that thing for years.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing it on the main channel. Should be an interesting experience. I'm putting Jerry through hell this week. We watched Blue Velvet. I'm asking him to watch Kongi's Harvest, and then we're listening to this album.
It's fine.
Sometimes you got to challenge yourself, you know? And sometimes you got to challenge yourself over and over and over again in the span of a week.
It's okay. I'm
okay.
fine.
It'll be good. I think you'll enjoy it more than I'm expecting you to. So
It could be. The only thing I've listened to from him is Haram, and I was not so hot on that, but that was also like 3 years ago.
it was, and that's also very different than this album. So
Okay.
Haram is like psychedelic to the point of almost like being avant-garde.
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite. So I chose this one because there's enough of a grounding here where I think you can like get into it easier, even though it's going to be the most dense thing you've probably ever listened to lyrically.
Probably. Yeah. I don't look into that so much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll see how that goes on Thursday. But that video will have a lot more, probably like a lot more talking and discussion than we usually do on videos. So it'll be an interesting experience. But yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
I
That
don't
was a
think
lot
so.
of random singles and jumping around, but
I don't think so. I mean,
Good
just
week.
check out the MGMT record,
yes, we just did that. Yeah,
and that slaps hard.
it really does.
Yeah. I was editing that video, and I'm like, man, I don't want to cut anything. I just
know.
want the whole song.
I ran into
playing.
that issue a lot. Yeah, it seems like people were not like very hot on that initially, but people are
What?
starting to come around a little bit.
How?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know MGMT's like fan base too well, so it's hard to tell like what else they really get into.
Oh,
Um, I don't know. I thought this record was pretty great.
I thought so too.
Like it's not the flashiest thing in the world, but it's like consistently good.
Yeah, I thought
So
so. Yeah.
yeah, I've been listening to Frady's song so much.
I think I've listened to it all the way through twice since recording that video. But I can't say what songs I go to a whole lot. I mean, what is that People song? People in the
People in the
Streets.
streets.
That's
That's a
a
banger.
banger. I also like Nothing Changes quite a bit. The long
Yes,
songs, you know, those are the good ones.
that's what I say.
I
The
say,
longer, the better.
I say, yeah, I agree. I like longer songs now. I did want
Careful
to,
what you wish for.
yeah, well, that's fine. I did want to bring up something interesting. It's an artist that we haven't covered on the channel, although one of their albums is on my list. Is Runner with an extra N.
With three ends.
Three N's. They released an album earlier this month, in the beginning of February. I didn't listen to it, but I just listened to it a couple days ago, and it's really interesting. Basically, I think what they were trying to do was they were going to. I think it was more or less just like an exercise in producing, I guess, in general, because what they did was they just took all of the stems from their last album and then just created new music using those. So like they set out and they're like, we're not going to record anything new for this album. It's just going to be like recycled stuff from our last album. And I think it was just like this exercise, like it wasn't necessarily thought of to be like, oh, this is something I'm going to release to the public. But then they eventually did it. And it's kind of weird and interesting. Like it's mostly all just instrumentals, but I thought it was kind of quirky and fun. I'm not going to go back to it a whole lot, but I thought it was cool. So, Stars
dig that.
Dust. That's what it's called, is Stars Dust.
Multiple stars.
Yes. And then
One dust.
all of the tracks are just 1, 2, 3, 4. They're just numbered.
Perfect.
Yeah. So check that out if you want to. But that's it.
Or don't.
Or don't. Listen to the like Dying Stars Were Reaching Out. I think that's what that album is called, that all of the stems are on. That album's great. That one's on the list. But
Sick.
yeah. I don't know. Just thought it was kind of interesting. Bring it up. But that's it for me, I think.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we missed. I don't think so. Nothing in terms of news or anything. Nope. We're all good. I guess that's podcast. Next week, Dune. Maybe.
Ooh, yeah.
Dune 2 is going to be out. Whether or not I'm going to see it is another question.
You gotta get the popcorn bucket.
I don't think that my theater is going to have the popcorn bucket.
Wah, wah.
I think that's an AMC
It's not
thing.
worth it then. Oh, is it?
I think.
I ain't doing that.
There's no AMCs in Iowa anymore. Just period.
And that's a good thing.
For the most part, yeah. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's yeah, it's AMC. AMC and Cinemark has the weird ones, but not Regal. Sorry, West Coast.
Regal.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll probably rewatch Dune 1. I was gonna watch the David Lynch one for this podcast, and then I was like, I don't want to do that. Eventually, I'll watch the David Lynch Dune.
But not today.
Not today. I was like, I want to watch something good. That was kind of my thought process this week. And yeah, I watched 3 great movies, and half of one that I couldn't understand because I'm deaf and stupid.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. There's any subtitles.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, especially since they all have accents.
Yes.
That makes it very hard for me to understand. Cause I am deaf, on record, legally.
True.
I can say that. I don't think I can. I can't say that in like a court of law. Like if they made me swear on the Jesus Christ book that I was deaf, I probably wouldn't say it. But
I guess, but it's like also like not false.
it's not false. I wear hearing aids.
Yeah.
It would just be kind of weird if I'm like, I'm deaf and I'm talking and I can hear you fine.
I run a music channel.
I run a music channel. You gotta
Listen
believe
to
me.
things.
Hey, deaf people like music too.
True.
Although
The
usually,
vibrations.
yeah, the vibrations. I've heard from deaf people that they like metal or like a gangster
Yes.
rap type thing where
Yeah.
it's just like
Uh-huh.
that. From what I
I
hear,
listen to music that sounds like that and I can hear perfectly.
that's true. I guess everyone is disabled in their own special way.
That's the quote of the year.
Whatever. That's in the podcast now. Bye.